In 2025, the math flips. For the first time ever, a used car could protect your wallet and your freedom better than something brand new. There is a legal countdown squeezing the supply of affordable vehicles, automaker exits are speeding up the crunch, and regulators are making simple cars a disappearing asset. If you think used car values cannot outpace new, the next few minutes might change your entire approach to risk, money, and control. Here's how government decisions and market forces are about to collide and how it could hit your bottom line. On March 28, 2023, the EU finalized a regulation that will reshape the car market across an entire continent. The law demands that by 2030, automakers must cut the average carbon dioxide emissions of new passenger cars by 55% compared to 2021 levels. Then, in 2035, the requirement tightens to a full 100% reduction. That means no new gas or diesel cars, only vehicles with zero tailpipe emissions will qualify. There are no major loopholes for mass market models and only a handful of low-volume exceptions for niche brands. For the average driver, this is not a distant policy debate. These deadlines are now hardwired into law, locking in a countdown that will make every new internal combustion engine car built in Europe a limited-run product. Automakers have no choice, fail to hit these targets, and they face steep financial penalties for every extra gram of carbon dioxide per vehicle. Policy analysts point out that the 2030 cut is especially punishing for affordable models. To avoid fines, carmakers must either raise prices on gas-powered vehicles, restrict supply, or shift production to electric platforms. Over the next 5 years, the supply of new, simple, gasoline-powered cars will shrink with each model year. This is not a forecast, it is a legal fact. The EU regulatory clock is now ticking, and every budget internal combustion engine car that rolls off a European assembly line between now and 2035 is one step closer to extinction. As the deadline draws near, scarcity is not just a possibility, it is built into the rules. For anyone watching the numbers, the window to buy a new, affordable internal combustion engine car in Europe is closing fast. General Motors, Volvo, and Volkswagen have already committed billions of dollars to retool factories and redirect resources away from traditional gasoline and diesel models. General Motors has set 2035 as the year it will stop producing new light-duty vehicles with tailpipe emissions, a move that signals the end of future investment in new internal combustion engine platforms for the mass market. Volvo has gone even further, pledging to sell only electric cars globally by 2030. Volkswagen, Europe's largest automaker, has announced that more than 70% of its European sales will be fully electric by 2030. And it has stopped developing new internal combustion engine platforms for the region. These are not just marketing claims, they are backed by plant conversions, supplier contracts, and public filings. Assembly lines that once produced millions of budget sedans and hatchbacks are being converted for battery packs and electric motors. The capital that used to flow into developing the next generation of small, affordable internal combustion engine cars is now locked up in battery plants, electric vehicle architecture, and software. For consumers, this means the supply of new, low-cost gasoline vehicles will shrink every year, not just because of regulations, but because automakers are actively cutting off the future of these models. Once a factory switches to electric vehicle production, it rarely goes back. The result is a slow-motion squeeze. Fewer new internal combustion engine vehicles enter the market, and the ones that remain become more expensive to build. As these corporate strategies take hold, the scarcity of simple, repairable cars becomes a financial reality for anyone looking to buy or keep a car in the next decade. In the United States, the economics of building affordable new cars have shifted under the weight of regulation. Every new internal combustion engine car must now meet strict fuel economy and emissions targets enforced by the CAFE standards. These rules carry real financial consequences. Automakers who miss the mark face fines or must buy credits, which can add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to the cost of each vehicle. At the same time, new safety mandates, like advanced driver assistance systems, are now required in even the cheapest models. Features such as automatic emergency braking, lane keeping, and multiple airbags are not optional. For a compact sedan once priced under $20,000, these added technologies can represent a 5 to 10% jump in manufacturing cost. The result is that car makers quietly pull the plug on their least profitable models. Ford's decision to discontinue the Fiesta and Focus in North America, announced in 2018, was not just about changing consumer tastes. Publicly, Ford cited weak demand and the need to fund trucks and SUVs. But industry analysts point to the math. Compliance costs and engineering budgets made it nearly impossible to keep small, cheap internal combustion engine cars in the lineup without losing money. The Fiesta vanished after the 2019 model year. The Focus followed, with U.S. production ending in 2018 and global production wrapping up in Germany in 2025. Analysts at S&P Global Mobility estimate that by 2027, U.S. production of low-priced internal combustion engine cars will fall by 10 to 20% compared to pre-pandemic levels. The exit of these models compresses supply at the bottom of the market, pushing budget-conscious buyers toward used vehicles. As each affordable nameplate disappears, the pool of simple, repairable cars shrinks. For anyone hoping to buy a new car under $25,000, the choices are dwindling. And for those holding on to older models, the underlying value of what is already in the driveway is quietly climbing. Wholesale used car prices have been running hotter than anyone predicted. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index, which tracks wholesale auction prices across the United States, surged more than 30% above its pre-pandemic baseline and has held that ground through 2025, even as new car supply has improved. In October, the index hovered around 206, with sales conversion rates regularly topping 57%, well above the 3-year average. Inventory remains tight. Cox Automotive reports just 43 days supply on dealer lots, far below what would be considered a balanced market. Kelley Blue Book notes that the number of vehicles available under $25,000 has plummeted, with sales in that band down nearly 80% over 5 years. At the street level, used car dealers are feeling the squeeze. One NIADA-accredited dealer puts it bluntly: compact sedans from the last generation are down 40% in inventory. That squeeze means $3,000 to $5,000 in resale premiums for clean 2015 to 2020 models. The numbers back him up. Retail prices for older, simple internal combustion engine cars are holding firm even as the overall used market softens at the margins. Automotive economists see this as a classic supply-constrained market. The elasticity of used car demand has shifted. When the pool of affordable, repairable cars shrinks, buyers become less sensitive to price. Cox analysts estimate that a 10% drop in supply can push used prices up by nearly as much, especially in the under $25,000 segment. The result is a scenario where scarcity is already baked into the market, and the price floor for practical used cars is set by forces far beyond normal depreciation. For anyone looking at the numbers, used internal combustion engine vehicles are behaving less like disposable goods and more like financial assets. In a quiet garage on the edge of town, a veteran mechanic lays out the case for cars from 2010 to 2016 Toyota Corolla and Honda Civic. These models, he explains, are built on a foundation of simplicity. There is no encrypted software blocking repairs, no subscription required to unlock basic features, and no need to wait weeks for proprietary parts. The tools to keep them running are the same ones he has used for decades, and the parts, such as brake pads, alternators, and sensors, are stacked on shelves in nearly every auto parts store across the country. He points to a 2013 Corolla with over 150,000 miles, still running on its original transmission. For owners, that means predictable maintenance and lower repair bills. A timing belt job might cost a few $100s and keep the car on the road for years. Compare that to newer vehicles, where a minor electronic glitch can mean a trip to the dealership, a software update, or a 4-figure bill. For households trying to make every dollar count, this kind of repairability is not just a convenience, it is a financial shield. The mechanic sums it up: if you can fix it yourself or bring it to a shop like mine, you control the costs. That is why these cars are gold right now. The abundance of affordable parts and independent expertise turns these older sedans into durable assets, not just depreciating expenses. In a market where complexity adds risk, simplicity becomes its own form of value. A typical household faces a choice: stretch for a new $50,000 car or buy a used, simple internal combustion engine model at half the price. The math is stark. At today's rates, a new car loan averages 9% annual percentage rate, while a used car loan can hit 14% annual percentage rate. That's a 5 percentage point spread that adds thousands in interest over 5 years. For a $50,000 new car, monthly payments are around $830 on a standard loan, with the vehicle losing up to 30% of its value in the first 3 years. By year 5, resale value often drops below $30,000 and insurance costs remain high, especially for tech-heavy or electric vehicle models. Now consider a used internal combustion engine sedan bought for $25,571. Even with higher interest, 14% annual percentage rate, the monthly payment is near $600 and depreciation slows dramatically. In some segments, values barely move or even rise as supply tightens. Insurance on a 10-year-old Corolla or Civic runs hundreds less per year than a new electric vehicle, and repairs stay predictable. There are no software subscriptions, no remote feature locks, and no risk of a battery replacement wiping out savings. Over 5 years, the household keeping things simple preserves control over costs. The used internal combustion engine car retains more of its value, dodges surprise fees, and avoids the risk of new technology or policy changes undermining resale. Depreciation is not just math, it is an investment choice. For families watching every dollar, the financial edge now belongs to the used, repairable car parked in the driveway. As regulations tighten and automakers shift priorities, the true scarcity is not in the showroom. It is on the used lot. For millions, the battle over affordability and autonomy now plays out in the resale market. The price of mobility is rising. How much control are we willing to trade away?